We turn now to the NRA. They have their new president, Oliver North, who is a criminal and a traitor to the U.S. and helped to arm terrorists. And so why not put him in charge of the NRA? I think that is a great statement for where that organization is currently, what their values are. But if that wasn't clear enough, he's decided to make it clear. Because right now we're in a moment nationally where we have the NRA and their supporters, both popularly and also in politics. And then we have this burgeoning anti-gun movement recently led by the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas students. Oliver North is not a fan of those students. And in an interview with the Washington Times, he had this to say. He accused the teenage survivors of the Parkland shooting of, quote, intimidation and harassment and lawbreaking. He said what they did very successfully with a frontal assault is they confused the American people. He said his role as the NRA president is to counterpunch the blowback facing the organization. Well, I wonder where he got that counterpunch term from. Thank you, Donald Trump. But more importantly, he also said this. They call them activists. That's what they're calling themselves. They're not activists. This is civil terrorism. This is the kind of thing that's never been seen against a civil rights organization in America. You go back to the terrible days of Jim Crow and those kinds of things. Even there, you didn't have this kind of thing.
Are you kidding me right now?
That is bananas.
That is one of the most ridiculous things I've heard in a while. And mind you, we're in the middle of this Trump administration that says all sorts of crazy things. Oliver North is consistent, though. He loves to sell weapons.
He does.
He'll sell the weapons to anyone. He'll sell them to Americans. He'll sell them to Iranians. He'll sell them to Manuel Noriega when he's the dictator of Panama. He'll sell them to anyone. He just wants to sell the weapons. So at least he's consistent.
Yeah, I get that you're gonna do that. And I get, look, the NRA, unfortunately, when the Parkland students come out and they're inspiring people and they're getting people to run for office and elect the right type of legislator and push for state legislation, gun control, all of this stuff, the NRA is unfortunately not going to just shrivel up in the corner and die. I get that. They're gonna defend themselves. They're gonna defend themselves vigorously. But calling Cameron Kasky and Emma Gonzalez terrorists when they're the survivors of mass shooting, that seems like it's going a little bit too far. And then saying that the criticism of the NRA is worse than anything done to civil rights activists, who, by the way, many were killed. You know, some were simply brutalized by the police and all of that, but many were killed. For Oliver North, this criticism is worse because somebody on Rachel Maddow said something mean about him once.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And if they believe in supporting the Second Amendment, they should also believe, and by the way, they should also believe in the First Amendment, which protects the right to protest and the freedom of the press and freedom of speech. So you are not protected by the Constitution against being offended or having your feelings hurt. So if your feelings are hurt, awesome.
Yeah.
And more importantly, you know, this phrase that you hear from the NRA quite a bit is the Second Amendment protects the First. They don't care about the First Amendment. The only thing they really care about is the ability to sell more guns and make sure that more Americans have guns in their hands. Doesn't matter if they're on a terrorist watch list, doesn't matter if they're minors, doesn't matter if they're mentally unhinged. The more guns, the better. Yeah,
I think that saying that the reason you want the guns is to protect Americans' rights is certainly, that's good framing, that's good branding.
Right.
But unless you actually stand up when the government encroaches or takes away those other rights, it sort of takes the wind out of your sails.
Exactly.
Rhetorically. Yeah, so look, Cameron Kasky, one of the terrorists that Oliver North is so courageously attacking here, said Oliver North, president of the nonprofit NRA, was involved with the illegal sale of weapons and the diversion of proceeds from the arms sale to support the Contra rebel groups in Nicaragua. And he just called a bunch of shooting survivors terrorists. Meet the NRA, folks. That's amazing. That's a high school student.
Yeah.
Man, I wasn't doing much when I was in high school. But thankfully, kids like him and the others are not, they're not fading into the shadows. They're not going to be bullied by a criminal like Oliver North. And it's good that people will, I was worried that the NRA would be able to slink in the shadows, bide their time, and repair their reputation. It doesn't seem likely to happen based on their communication strategy, and that's a good thing.
It doesn't even seem like they care about their reputation. I mean, again, this guy is a criminal. He was convicted for his involvement in the Iran-Contra issue.
Yeah.
He's a bad person, and NRA hired him anyway.
Yeah.